Hey guys, how's it going? Gilly here from the Retro Oasis, and today I have a video with the first impressions of the INU Next Pro. It's a new handheld mini PC from Aya. It's quite expensive but also quite powerful, and it has even better specs than the Steam Deck. Let me show you a little bit about it. Welcome to the Oasis. As usual, let's go over the basic specs. The CPU is the Ryzen 7 5825U with 8 cores and 16 threads. The GPU is the Radeon Vega 8, 16GB of RAM, but the version I have here is the Pro, with 32GB LPDDR4. Same thing with the internal storage. There are different configurations of 1 or 2TB SSD. This one is 2TB. A 7-inch LCD IPS touchscreen with the resolution 1280 by 800 and aspect ratio 16 by 10. A 47 Wh battery. For connectivity, we have pretty much everything. Dual band Wi-Fi with support for Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2, USB Type-C, video out, and more. Other things worth mentioning are the active cooling system, fast charge, analog triggers, fingerprint sensor, Hall sensor thumbsticks that are technically drift proof, and more. And the OS here is Windows 10. I'm not gonna worry about the unboxing since I uploaded a video of it being done under 1 minute. I'll leave a card up here if you wanna check it out. And what's the first thing I noticed out of the box? It's how gorgeous this device is, at least for me. There are several colors available for the INU Next: light black, navy blue, baby blue. Well, these are not actually real names, but there's this one here that's called bright white. I love the white and orange contrast of these buttons here and of the shoulder and volume buttons. Not to mention the metal thumbsticks, they look very sharp. It's a really good looking device. Another thing I noticed right away is the size. I think these big, bulky, powerful devices are here to stay. Of course, we need space for all the specs we find here, especially for a decent cooling system. But the size still surprises me. Look here side by side with the Steam Deck. Here with the One X player. Even though I mentioned the size, I do like big and massive handhelds. They're very comfortable and fitting for my gorilla hands and help me with my grip. And since I mentioned, the ergonomics here are great. Just like most of the more recent handheld consoles, it has a bump around the back, right where your hand holds the device, making it very natural and comfortable to hold. My only complaint is that I'd rather have the right thumbstick up here and the face buttons in its place. Depending on the game I'm playing, when I press the A and X buttons, I end up touching the right thumbstick. Maybe that doesn't happen with people that have normal hands, but that's the price I pay for having primate hands. But honestly, it's not that bad. It's not even close to the problem I have when using the GPD-XP. The thumbstick here is very tall and really gets in the way. To be honest, in terms of comfort, the Steam Deck is my favorite handheld. It's massive with lots of space between the buttons, and the thumbsticks are in a location that doesn't get in the way. It has fantastic ergonomics that I can use for hours without getting tired, and it is by far the most comfortable handheld I own. But let's go back to the main attraction. Another thing easy to notice are the shoulder buttons, more specifically the analog triggers. These shoulder buttons are huge, and even LB and RB have considerable travel distance, which is not very common for a button that normally has micro switches on it. But it's nothing compared to the LT and RT. It's the longest travel distance I ever found on a portable console. Not that this is a bad thing, on the contrary. To me, it gives more control when you're hitting the pedal on a racing game, for example. Another thing I noticed during my first impressions is that there is no texture on the casing. The plastic's smooth but kind of matte. I thought for being matte it wouldn't be too much of a problem with fingerprints. Boy, was I wrong. Shortly after I took the device out of the box, I could easily see all the grease from the chicken I ate during lunchtime. And there's not much you can do. You clean up a little bit and wait for it to get dirty again. At least I have the gloves they sent with the device to avoid this. Can you imagine playing with these gloves? Well, let me show you a bit of the layout. Two very nice thumbsticks with good range and technically drift proof. The D-pad that I already tested and it's great for fighting games. Here, the view and menu buttons. It works as select and start. Face buttons here, and below the right thumbstick we have two additional buttons. The bigger one is for the IA Space, a launcher that comes pre-installed. The smaller one is to minimize all windows and show the desktop. On top we have the shoulder buttons, the power button, where you can also find the fingerprint sensor, volume buttons, headphone jack, and LED light that will blink when the device is charging, USB-C for charging and peripherals, and one of the exhaust vents. On the bottom we have two air intake vents and one more USB-C, also both for charging and peripherals. Nothing on the left, nothing on the right. On the back, just one circular air intake vent. After you turn it on and finish the initial Windows setup, the interface is exactly the same of a Windows PC or laptop, so most people will be right at home. Of course, Windows is not the best OS to be used with a touchscreen, but that's the price you pay for a mini PC. The first thing I did was to connect a Bluetooth mouse and leave it connected permanently. It helps a lot with the navigation. Sometimes I miss the keyboard too, so I use this one. Too bad this model doesn't have Bluetooth, so I have to use an adapter. That is not very practical. I still want to buy one just like this one, but with Bluetooth. This way I don't need anything physically connected to the console. And since we're talking about Windows, you just need to install the launchers you want. I got Epic Games, Steam, GOG, and Game Pass Ultimate. My whole library of games on this device. And remember that launcher I mentioned before to be used with this button here. It's this one, the IA Space. It's got a lot of options and customizations. Here in Home, you can see all the games and apps recently used. Here you can add app shortcuts, optimize the system, configure power options, change the resolution, and the TDP right here. The lower the TDP, the more battery you save. If you raise it, you consume more, but consequently, you get more performance out of the device. For example, I use 5 watts for 8 and 16-bit systems on RetroArch, 11 and 15 watts for emulators like PPSSPP or games like Dead Cells and Hollow Knight, and 20 watts for hard-to-emulate systems like Nintendo Switch or AAA games like GTA 5 and Destiny 2. In games you'll find what? You guessed right, all the installed games. In Assistant you can find your system info here, the console specs over here, installed apps here. Here you can configure specific things like vibration, calibrate the thumbsticks and more. Over here you can see the screenshots you took in the games, and here you can add specific shortcuts like Wi-Fi or the activation of a mouse mode. Basically, this is it for software. Windows, as everybody knows, and this highly customizable launcher. Let's test some games. Starting with PC games that I think is the main objective of this handheld. You'll be able to run a lot of AAA games with amazing FPS, and several of them in high settings.
That was the fastest lap in this race. This please.
And of course, you won't have any problems running 8, 16 and 32-bit systems, so I won't worry about them. Nintendo DS will run without issues and make good use of the 7-inch screen. Nintendo 3DS also runs pretty well. There's always one or other difficult game to emulate, but in general you'll be able to play several titles. PSOne upscaled looks and runs great on this device. And I can say the same thing for the Sega Saturn. Dreamcast is another one that plays great upscaled. No issues with Nintendo 64. PSP looks great on the Ioneo Next Pro, especially for being a widescreen system, running at 4x. also be able to play GameCube and Wii games without too much trouble. Same thing can be said for the PlayStation 2. You'll have a great experience on this device. For PS3, not all games will play well, but a few of them can still be played. The Wii U emulator, Cemu, is very well optimized. You'll be able to play several games. Nintendo Switch is another system that runs well. You have to alternate between Yuzu and Hyujinx to see which game works best in which emulator. And for last but not least, some xCloud. This device works great with Microsoft's streaming service.
Sir, I still don't have a gun, so please hurry up.
The IONIU Next Pro is the best of handheld consoles, being the most powerful mini PC available in the market nowadays. I honestly don't think you'll have any issues running that specific game you want to play that doesn't work on another device. Great ergonomics, excellent and responsive controls, props for the great D-pad, fantastic thumbsticks and analog triggers. Plus points for running Windows. It might not be the best touch experience for a display this size, but it's very familiar for most people and easy to configure. Not to mention, you just need to add a keyboard and a mouse, connect your TV or monitor, and voila! You have a full desktop PC. I think the biggest problem with this device is the price. Yes, you get a powerhouse that is unmatched in performance, but $1,400 is a steep price to pay for that. I still have more videos coming up of the IONIU Next Pro, including an in-depth review of this device. So consider subscribing for more content like that. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like before you go. Once again, Guilherme here from the Retro Oasis. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.